Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. I had originally intended this video to be a create with me. It's one of the things I get requested frequently, and would you please do just kind of showing us your process and what you do kind of a thing. And I had intended to do that, but I'd gotten several questions recently regarding the new kit that Tracie Fox created, the Fill in the Labels kit. And one of the questions that I've been asked, at least a dozen times is, well, what if you don't have stamps? What if you're not a stamper? What do you do with these little labels if you're not a stamp person? And the beauty of these labels is there's so much you can do with them. And it kind of ties in with the Create With Me, because I'm going to show you, some of the many ways I use these labels. And no, this is not a Tracie sanctioned video. She didn't ask me to do this. I absolutely love this product, and I want to show you, just some of the ways the versatility allows you to create you. I watched the Tim Holtz new ideology release this morning, and again, he says you do you, and I love that because you take things that we all have and we all use, and you make it your own. And this is one of those products that just doesn't matter if you're a modern junk journaler or a vintage or bright colors or whatever you like. These can work really well, and I will show you what I'm talking about. All right, first, my idea came from another Tracie kit. She earlier this year did this ornithology kit, and then she did another one with mammals, and absolutely loved it. I made her a book. If you watch my channel, I made her a take flight journal. And in that book and in the kit, she has these, I don't remember what it's called, bumper birds, maybe, I think is what this one was from. And then I'll look and I'll link it. But bottom line is there's a whole bunch of pieces where you can take this, just a printed digital, and turn it into whatever you want. You can add color, you can add images, you can add things to it. And she's got this other one. It's more of the specimen label concept, where it's just flat printed, and you can make it anything you want, right, if you choose to. But even with these, the idea is you can leave it exactly as it is if that's your preference, but you can also do something like here. I used the Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax embossing powder to give the flower a little more texture, and I used some of that faux vintage cellophane tape to put the tape holding it down, and then I just used a date stamp to stamp the date that I had made it. So I took something and just added a few alterations to kind of make it my own. And that's what this label set does. It allows you to do a few simple things and use all of your stash and make it your own. Here you can see I just stamped my name. And again, but Corey, what if you don't have stamps or use stamps? Okay, well, I'm going to come back to that because I have lots of ideas with stamps. If you have limited stamps or don't have many to choose from, or maybe just have one or two sets or something. So I'll come back to that. But let's say you really like the labels, but you're not a stamp person. Okay, so here are some, and I printed these in 3 different sizes. I printed them portrait, I printed them landscape, and in both of them I shrink to fit the page. Okay, so I didn't fuss with the size so much. I printed in portrait, that's the middle one. I printed in landscape, that's the larger one, and then I printed them as a 5x7. So on my printer, and I know everybody's printer is a little bit different, but on my printer I made it fit to page, and then I put the picture size as 5x7, and it gives me little itty bitties. And you can see there, this one, well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's about 1 inch long. And so some of these are really tiny. And I like the variety of sizes based on, whoops, let me try to zoom back in. Okay, oh, I just blew that. Other way, Corey. There we go. Okay, I like having a variety of sizes based on what I'm doing. And it's no secret, if you watch my channel, that I really like making scrap clusters. I really like using little bits of scrap and ephemera to make something that I can use to embellish a page. And sometimes it's this size, and sometimes it's, much bigger. much larger. And so I want to have a variety of label sizes so that whatever size I need, I can use. Like for this one is probably what, 3 inches long by 1.5 inches or so wide, maybe 3.5 inches long by 1.5 inches. It's just a little glassine bag, and I have no idea where I got it. Could have even been in Happy Meal. So I made a cluster and I put it on top of this. And again, one of the reasons I love these is because I can tuck something in here, I can glue down 2 sides and create a belly band back here, and I still have a little bit of an embellishment based on the theme that I'm working on in my current journal. So I had made a whole bunch of in another video, I have scrap clusters 12 ways, different ways that you can make and use scrap clusters. And that's pretty much what these are. I use, I'm going to pull it out over here. When I have just a little bit of time to create, let's see if I can, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble zooming out and zooming in. I don't know why it's doing this. Anyway, I sort my little scraps when I'm making the long clusters. I sort them into solids, texture, pattern, text, and then little bits that go on top. And then when I have just a few minutes, I'll grab one from each section, put them together, and I will create these background pieces, right? And so I'll make a whole bunch of these at once. And then my second step is almost always to either sew and or add little bits of lace. And these are all pretty much at the second step. So I'll just do a bunch at once, and then I'll put them aside, and then when I'm ready to do the next step, I'll go to the next step. And that is to sew and add lace. And I use my little scrap buckets for that as well. And then usually my last step is to embellish or add details. And it works the same way whether I'm using these stamped ones. They're pretty formulaic for me, whether I'm making the stamped ones or whether I'm doing those strip ones. And it's on the last step that I often add these labels. So that is probably the most common way I use these. Well, here we go. That's what I did here. I had 3 of these butterflies stamped, and one of them was kind of a little light, basically. So I took one of these Tracie fill-in labels. Oh, and you know, I always do this. I assume that everybody is not new to junk journaling and they know exactly who I'm talking about. Tracie is Tracie Fox from Love Junk Journals, or Tracie Fox Creative. She has Etsy, she has YouTube. She's phenomenal. She's one of the many people that just really define this hobby. Anyway, so she is the one who created these fill-in labels. And I just used my own stamps and inks to fill in the blank. And then this is just a Tim Holtz ephemera bit that I put on top. And I was able to add that last little bit. Here it was just a stamp. And so maybe I'm not quite done. I'd probably want to add something to this. And, you know, maybe I want to put a label right here. Maybe I want to include the date. Maybe I want to, you know, I added a little bit of brad to give this some dimension, but I'll add another piece, and that's where the labels come in, the final steps. And that's when I'll put on some dimensional glaze and, you know, add a staple or those types of things. So that is one way that I use these labels, and that's probably for me the most common way I use the labels, but it's by no means the only way to use them. Many of us, so let's just say you're not a person who stamps, but most or many of us have little bits and pieces. And I'm going to bring down one of my, I use these little bins or boxes, and again I'm going to try to zoom out a little bit. There we go, that's better. Sorry about that light overhead. So I use these kinds of trays, basically wooden trays, to sort my ephemera, just because I don't have to, I mean, I still dig through, but I'm digging through by type. And I'm going to grab another one. And here is another one. So this one has some numbers and some label letters and some little bits and pieces, and they each have different things, words, definitions, that kind of thing. So I've got these big, huge trays. And then I have some flat trays with bigger and or oversized ephemera. Sorry, I just kind of keep that there so that it doesn't. And then I can use these. So I've got all these really cool pieces, but how do I use them? Well, one way that I use these with Tracie labels is I ground them. Sometimes these little bits and pieces we have are really tiny and you put them on something and they get lost. Well, this is a way to kind of ground or anchor them. So I'm taking one from this, and maybe you're a Tim Holtz paper doll person. Maybe that's your thing. So you can take one of these Tracie labels, the fill-in labels, and a Tim Holtz paper doll, and well, he's a little big for that, but that's okay. So let's try this. There you go. And then you can ground him. Now I can still stamp a number. You know what? Let's just do it. See, so I can take a Tracie label. I can take a paper doll. Sorry, my table's getting really full here. But I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'll take my Tracie label. I'll zoom into that. You don't need to see the whole tray. And I'll glue. This is just for those who ask. I used to have a foam, the topper for our daubers. I used to keep one of those on there, but I realized that just the back piece of a sticky back Velcro works really well. And that way I don't lose my pin, because if I put it down on my desk surface, sometimes it'll disappear. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of this doll. It's kind of a handsome dude. And I'm grounding him. See, he's not floating in air. I mean, and if you like floaters, that's fine. But I've got him grounded. He's standing on the line. And maybe I need a little bit of color. And maybe the color I'm working with in this one is, oh, I don't know. Maybe I want red. So I'm going to grab, this is how I store my little archival inks, and whatever works. So I grabbed a red geranium. And no, that was not planned out. I just did it. And then I have a whole bunch of these little itty bitty stamp sets, right? They used to be $1 a piece at Michael's. I imagine they're still available for a fairly reasonable price at dollar spot type places. I've got tons of these sets, and some of them are small and some of them are large. And most of them are pretty old. So this is number, let's see, I'm going to call this number 53. I don't know why I chose 53, but I'm going to go with 53. So I'll use my little number stamps, right? And then I can stamp right on here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if you like things straight and lined up, you can use all kinds of stamping tools to make sure it's straight and lined up. But it doesn't have to be. Okay, so number 53. But you know what? This guy is a superstar. So I'm going to use my little itty bitty image stamp, and I'm going to give him a star. All right? So I grounded him. I gave it a little bit of color, and then I can staple or sew or put this on any of my anything, my pockets, my pages. I could put this on just a corner of a journaling page, staple it on, right? So I've got a big page, staple it on, and there's just a little bit of interest. Or I can tuck it in a pocket so that I could take it out and use it in my journaling to kind of add interest to my journaling. So that's just, one of many, many ways. So you've got Tim Holtz or any other brand ephemera, right? Okay, so here's another one. I'm just going to grab, that's a little specimen collection one. And let's see. I'll put the paper dolls back. But a lot of us like to get the little itty bitty snippets, and I don't even know where mine are in these, but they're around somewhere. So maybe I've got some fussy cut birds, or maybe, some of these pre-done butterflies, right? Pre-done butterflies. If you get the Tim Holtz ephemera and such, there are a whole bunch of these things already ready to go. Or maybe you got them from Carriot, which craft do you do? Well, I can put that right in there. It doesn't have to fit inside the box. And in fact, I prefer it when it doesn't fit inside the box. I can choose any color I want to match my project, and I can even do 2 if I choose to, right? I can cover parts of the words. So I can use, die cut pieces and little bits. There's, these kind of stickers. There's all kinds of stickers and flower stickers, and I mean, you name it, just little itty bitty bits and pieces. Here you go. So here's a smaller one. It's again one of those Tim Holtz pieces, but it can be anybody's line. I can just put this right here and then add this to my journaling tag or my journaling card, right? It can be right on top of it. So it doesn't have to be a stamp, though it certainly can be a stamp, and there's lots of ways to use stamps. And so any of the pieces, tea cards, coffee cards, vocabulary cards, all of those are options on ways that you can use these labels and kind of ground them a little bit. All right, I'm going to move these aside because there's just too many options with these. Oh, here we go. Let's say I wanted to, let's see, sample. I'm going to use the sample one. I want to give this to a friend, and my friend's name starts with A, right? Oh, that doesn't fit so great, so I'm going to go with a different one. Put that there. Here we go. I can just staple this using my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher, and I can staple it right there. Or I can put glue on the back of the letter and glue it down right there. So that's, another way to utilize these things. Okay, so here are some other little stickers. These happen to be Cork Stickers somebody gave me. I can write in the date, or I can stamp the date and then use the little Cork sticker. If you think outside of the box, postage stamps are great to use on this. Maybe I made a little itty bitty envelope and I want to put this as a receipt or a little tuck inside of the envelope. Or maybe I want to put a couple of them so a friend can use them in their own journals. The functionality of these is to me just amazing. But maybe you like the idea of stamping and you don't necessarily have the right stamps. Well, there is no such thing as the right stamps with these. That's another beauty of it. So maybe you don't have number stamps or alphabet stamps like these, right? Maybe that's just not what you've got. Well, maybe you have like one of these sets where you can, like that, let's see, where did I put it? This Born to Fly one that I showed earlier. I used these where you take apart the letters and push them together, and I did this Born to Fly. So this size letter was Born and Fly, and then I took another stamp from a stamp set, I think it was even from like a dollar spot, and I cut the T off and I cut the O off, and then I used, I think it was one of the orange colors, to stamp that so that it would tie into the orange there. So you don't have to have any specific products like to be successful and make this work for you. Here's one. This is one that I got for my name, Corey Diamond Creating with Scraps. I had it made for me, but I don't necessarily want all of that on one of these. Maybe I want to stamp my name on the bottom of the specimen collection. So you know what I'll do? Let's see. I put it back up, but I'm going to grab it again because I can. And I'm going to take one of those little itty bitty butter. Oh, here we go. Maybe I won't even use a butterfly. Maybe this one is a dragonfly, I think. I don't know. There you go. Okay, so dragonfly. And I was the collector of this dragonfly, and I don't know how well you can see him on there. I'll try to zoom in just a little. Whoops, wrong way, Corey. We're going to zoom in just a little bit. But I don't want the whole thing on there because obviously it's not going to fit. So I'm going to mask a part of it. I did this earlier to make sure it works. I'm just going to take some of my sticky tape, not sticky tape, light sticky tape, and just have my name show. Okay. And then I will stamp. And then I'll peel off the sticky tape. So the only thing that has ink now is my name. And then I guesstimate, because I don't really care if they're perfectly straight or perfectly centered. If you care about that, then use one of your stamping tools, like a MISTI or something like that. But I don't particularly care, so I'm just going to stamp it there. Okay, there you go. My name is on the bottom. I just stamped my name out of that big stamp. And now, because I was the specimen collector, I can put this, glue down this little dragonfly, and there you go. I made it uniquely my own. You could write your name if you choose to, using an archival pen or a black solid pen. I don't know. These Pigma Micron graphic pens work great. There's these, I used this one so much I wore off the name. I don't even know which ones these are. But bottom line is they're all over the place. Any pen that you get can work. So I can use it that way, right? Let's see, what else? Oh, here we go. Maybe you're like me and you have more vellum stickers. Look how chubby this book is. It's almost ridiculous. More vellum stickers than you could ever need or use. So here, I'll pull out one. I want to use some of these because I've got them, right? So I'll grab a sticker. And let's see, maybe I want this on, maybe I want it on a little one or a medium one. Let's see. I want it on a little bit bigger one. And the kit comes with colors and black and brown. So you can choose. Oh, here we go. That's kind of pretty. Well, it's a little too big for this. So I can just trim it off. I don't have to use the sticker in its entirety, right? I just trim what I don't want. Okay, so it's a vellum sticker. Trim it down. I usually cut a little bit more of this off because I don't like the way it looks. I ink it a little bit to grunge it up, and then I stick it down here. I still have the option of stamping a date or a number or a word or something down here. Maybe I want to, combine this and put the word rose, what have you. So I can use stickers on these as well. That's another great option. Okay, so yeah, I like the idea, but I want to use what I've got. Okay, so look, maybe you have some of these Tim Holtz labels, right? They're really common. A lot of us have these things in a variety of different colors, and they're easily accessible. So here we go. Here is the end. Now, a lot of times to make it stand out, I'll ink around that, but maybe I want to put that on. No, it doesn't even have to make sense, but it can if you choose to. Let's see, where do I want it to go? Just pulling out here. So here, this one says filed, and I would, like I said, I would ink around it. But you can use these things, and because these are easily lifted, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of glue on it. But you can insert these. They're the right size and dimension to put on some of these little labels. And this happens to be the Halloween one, but I've got them in black. Okay, here you go. Best day ever, let it go. Here we go, let it go. Maybe you want to put that right on here and then put a sticker or something underneath it. So you can use, my point is you can use these stickers that you've already maybe got to fill in those blanks. Or maybe you have rub-ons. Maybe you don't have stamps, but you have rub-ons. One of these Tim Holtz rub-ons. I mean, there's other rub-ons. I just happen to have a lot of these. I can choose any of these numbers. I can choose any of these images or words or what have you. And I can put them right where I want them. So you just cut it, and then you use the rub tool and put it right on there. And that will work with just about any size of these things. So you've got an option with your remnant rubs too. But maybe, like most of us, you have stamps that maybe aren't alphabet stamps. Well, you can use image stamps. I mean, it doesn't have to be a word. So maybe I've got this really fun little butterfly stamp. Maybe I want to stamp the butterfly stamp or a part of the butterfly stamp on this. So here, I'm just grabbing a butterfly stamp, and this is a little sticker, and I can color it in or not, right? Oh, but it doesn't really fit. Okay, so that's okay. Let me grab an acrylic block, just a piece of scratch paper. Okay. I'm sorry about the shadow. I don't know how to get rid of it because of my overhead light. Let's see if that helps a little bit. Okay. And I am no video professional, obviously, so if the shadows and such bother you, I apologize. I really can't get rid of them in my craft room. It's just not an option. Okay, so here you go. I just want a little bit of it, right? So I'll off stamp it. I've got just a little bit of the butterfly on there. That's another great way to use these. And if I wanted to split it, I could have the other part of the butterfly on another one. So use partial stamps or portions of stamps, right? And I don't know about you, but my general go-to when I think of these is I think of birds, butterflies, and flowers. Those are the ones I almost, let me zoom out a little bit. Those are the ones I almost always grab first. Birds, butterflies, and flowers. Well, you can use any of your stamps. You can use portions of your stamps. Like this is a really big daisy set. I can pick pieces of these or pieces of the leaves, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm encouraging you to look at your supplies that you've already got in a new way. Flowers, daffodils, tulips. Okay, Carrie Bradford makes absolutely incredible alphabet stamps. Now, they're not this kind. They're the kind you use with an acrylic block, right? And so there's some cool words. Well, these are some hollow words that she has. And this one happens to be love. So I am going to... Here we go. Let's see if I can make this work. Yeah, I bet I can. I'm going to grab, let's see, I have that red geranium. I can use, again, any color. Let's see. I haven't stamped this one yet. See, so it has an ugly spot on it. So I'm going to clean that off with my fingers and then see if I can't fix that. But you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. So let's just go like this. Okay. Oh, I didn't do it very well. Sorry, it's because I'm at a funky angle. Let's go trying that again. Let's see. Here we go. Botanical collection. So I need to put a flower there. And let's see, does that fit? Maybe. All right, so, and then I'll get one of those little flower stickers or a Tim Holtz flower or something, and I'll put it right there. Roses often mean love, so maybe I'd put a rose there, something like that. So you can use your word stamps too if you've got them on word sets. Here is an old, I think I got these from a yard sale, so I can put them together on my acrylic block and spell things in a cursive font. This one is a Carrie Bradford, really cool one. It's for a calendar set, I think. So I could put a day of the week or just a number. Instead of writing the number out, I have the word 1, and I can stamp it that way. And again, alphabets in a variety of sizes. These are Carrie Bradford Studio stamps. So you can use, rather than alphabet sets, you can use, this kind. Rather than on wood mounted, you can use this type. Your red rubber stamps. I could put postage stamp pieces right on top, or a cute little chubby birdie. But I can use time things, and like here, there's no reason on earth on some of those I couldn't put a pen nib, right? How cool would that be? Right here in the center, I take a little pen nib and I stamp it right there, okay? Or maybe I have it come off the side over here. I can use people stamps. This is one of my all-time favorites from, I think this is Darkroom Door, Rachel Gregg. It's a library stamps. How cool would it be to stamp some library books right on top of here? Or just a piece of this, the checkout card from the library. So just a piece of that, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is look at your supplies in a little bit different way. Now, I've got this really stellar set from Carrie at Which Craft Do You Do, and I just cannot find it anywhere. I'm mad at myself. But here, like this is another Darkroom Door set with just pieces of numbers, and I can stamp on those in any color that I want. It almost gets overwhelming because the options are endless. But the takeaway from this is use what you've got. Don't necessarily go out and buy all the new things or all the latest things or all the you've got to have it things. Use what you already have and look at them in different ways. I often will do things like this. So I've got some really inexpensive little itty bitty flower pieces, right? And little stout flower stamps. They were, I think I got these at a yard sale for about $1. And I use these often because they're so versatile. This is another set that I really love. It is from Creative Expressions, and it's dates from the past. Creative Expressions dates from the past, and it's got a variety of lengths, numbers, and so you can stamp those in any color you want right inside those little bits and pieces. Okay, so I can put this one, I can turn it, please stamp inside the box. Well, who stamps inside the box? Sure as heck not me. Though I do sometimes, I just don't make a habit of it. So I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to grab just my colored pens. This is the green that I most often go to when I use this, and that purple shows up, so I'll use purple. Okay, so I put my stamp down on my block, grab my colored pen. I don't even have it on here very well. You can see it's kind of loosey-goosey. And a different color for the stems. All right. Now I'll take that and I'll stamp this. Okay, that really stuck right over the top. There you go. And see, quickly and easily I can take this label stamp that's designed for a date or what have you, and I can put a flower on it. And then I can put a little bit of washi tape at the bottom, or I can stamp a date, or I can stamp a number. In fact, let's do this. Let's get one of these, the one I told you from here. I need something small because I don't have a lot of room right there. So let's do this, DU31. Not that I have any clue what DU31 means. And I don't even have to use a stamp pad if I don't want to. I mean, I could, but I could also just use my colored pen that I used on this. Just put the colored pen right on top of that. You don't have to have it. I like the archival ink just because if I get it wet, it stays put, it doesn't run. But, you know, use what you've got. And I'm going to put that right there. Okay, so just adding, whoops, sorry about that, that was really loud. Adding another layer, another dimension to one of these. You know, we all have to be mindful of what we get and what we spend, and making sure that we like what we purchase and what we use, right? And this is just one of those items the reason I'm saying it is because I think it's a really great value for your money. The set is just a few bucks. If you don't have a printer and you can't print it, well, Staples or Office Depot or your local, you know, hometown, for want of a better word, print shop can do that. They can print it for you. So comes in super handy. Oh, okay, so that's the stamp set. That's kind of how I use it. That's what this was mostly about. But there's a couple other things that people asked. Somebody asked me how I make these. Like, so here we go, great example. For the top of one of these, I want to put that vintage faux, I really wouldn't put this one there, but we'll just pretend. This vintage tape, this faux tape. And the way I make this tape, and the way most people make this tape, is you just use regular old office tape, right? And you put it out on a piece of baking paper. And then you use alcohol ink and squirt. I happen to use latte and espresso, but you use which colors you've got, okay? And then just let it dry for a few minutes. And then it looks like this. And when it's dry, I wrap it around these little cards. But the way I make these to get this vintagey faux cellophane or old tape look, basically, is I take a strip of this, and I put a little bit of glue on the back of it, right, on that strip, and I lay it down on a light colored piece of cardstock. And this is just an offcut of cardstock. And then I will use the smaller hole, because this is the size I use most often. You could use the bigger one if you use the bigger size more often. And if you use a bigger one, just put 2 strips right next to each other. Okay, it doesn't have to be this particular size. But anyway, so I'll punch a hole. Whoops, that wasn't even in the middle. I'll punch a hole kind of in the middle-ish, right? And then I put it over here somewhere. There we go. I'll use another punch, and I will punch it out. And that gives me one of those tabs for the top with this paper. Now, you can see there's more ink and less ink in different spots. So, you know, if I wanted to make sure it had ink all the way around, I would, you know, move it over here and make sure that I'm in a spot that has more ink. You can see it has more ink. But that's all I do, and then I punch a whole bunch of these, and those little bins that you saw earlier, I'll leave them out in those little bins. That's how I achieved that effect. There was another thing I was going to share or show. I know what it was. Okay, two things actually. One of them is this. So I've got the little itty bitties, and this is a really cool, it's a date stamp. It's just a few bucks. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at office supply stores. Well, last time I used this was August 8th. Okay, so August 8th. One of my friend Tammy's birthday was August 8th. Happy birthday, Tam. So maybe I've got one of these little itty bitties and August 8th is too big. Well, just like my name, you can mask a part of this. So I will hold this down and maybe I just want the year. So I'll put a piece of tape over that and turn this around so it's going the right way. And let's see if I can do this on the camera. Oops, I did it off to the side. Sorry, I wasn't looking. But the first couple times I did it, of course it worked. But my point is you can, let's try it again. Because to show you, it really, really does work. I have to just be mindful of where the date is on here. And that's what I didn't do. See how I looked over here? Let me grab a different one. Oh, here we go. There we go. Let's see if I can make that one work a little bit better. And I will just stamp the date. Okay, see? So there you go. So you can get just little bits of it, right, on what you want. That was another idea. And then finally, last thing I was going to show, and maybe one of these days I'll do a craft with me, but yes, I do also have the One Sheet Wonders, and I promised myself until I finished this tech training that I wouldn't do those. So as soon as my tech training is done for school that starts on September 8th, I will start doing those. All right. Last week I loaded some things on Etsy, and it was really nice because I didn't announce it here first, and they just kind of sold slowly, and it was awesome. I was able to just do a few at a time and get them out and get them sent out. So that was really fun. My only conundrum or dilemma with that is this. I use the proceeds. Now, I do remove the cost for postage from the funds that I get, but the proceeds, the profit, I guess is a better way to put it. I use those for various charities or fundraisers or organizations. And I've always in the past told you what I'm using it for. Like the most recent one was the emergency fund at the vet's office. Because I feel like everybody should have a say in where their donations go. I don't want to make that decision or assumption for you. So I was just working on the assumption that people would know that anything I sold last week, even though I didn't announce that that's what it's for, but that was where it was earmarked. But I don't know that I want to do that every time I put something in my Etsy shop. Like I've got a bunch of those journals pretty much ready to go, the art paper journals. And I'm going to put them in slowly, but not necessarily announce they will be in at this date, at this time, or what have you. Because that puts too much pressure on me to, make sure I get it when I'm supposed to, and then if life happens, I can't necessarily load it, and, well, it just becomes problematic. So my dilemma is, do I just, announce on the Etsy post what the fundraiser is for? I mean, I don't do anything too far out there, but maybe not everybody wants to buy books for students or support families that have recently suffered a big loss, or that's not a judgment. That's just people can support what they choose to support. Maybe not everybody wants money to go to an emergency vet. And my latest idea for the next round of things is, okay, so back to school supplies. I'm a teacher, no secret. And so many fabulous organizations accept donations, like even Starbucks and churches and such, for things like paper and crayons and pencils and notebooks and backpacks and essential back to school supplies. And one of the things I noticed when I was recently at Target was a child shopping with mom, and they had money for the supplies, but none of the extras. Well, I know when I went to school and when my kids went to school, having a new pair of shoes or pants or shirt or whatever on the first day, or even having new clothes for the first week, was really special. And not all students have that opportunity. So I was kind of brainstorming a way to make that happen. Now, my district, I work with Tacoma Public Schools, has a Christmas shop with a cop kind of a thing, and they've got other things. But sometimes, especially with older kids like I work with, I mean, they're not middle school, high schoolers, but they're fifth graders. There's a mental stigma attached. So I was kind of brainstorming ways to provide like a gift card to those students in need, and I'm working with a counselor with that. So provide a gift card for students who would benefit from a new outfit for the first day or week of school without having me go and buy it. Like, I could buy a shirt in a size whatever and put it in a bin and somebody could get it, but it's a lot of fun to pick out your own. So anyway, I'm brainstorming ways to make gift cards for kids back to school clothes shopping, because we all know self-confidence plays a huge role in our success. And when you're more self-confident, you believe in yourself a little bit more, and you're more apt to enjoy the process and focus on what you're learning. It fosters success. So I'm thinking of ways I can make that happen. So that said, my next round of fundraisers is going to be earmarked towards student need. Now, again, it's challenging because a lot of times, I give that to a child, maybe they'll give it to their parent and they purchase food or some other needed things. And I completely understand that. But my intent is to help the child feel good about themselves. So I'm not quite sure what that's going to look like, but I think that's what the next round of funds is going to be earmarked for. On that note, I was playing with my desktop ink caddy, and I had found behind my tool holder, basically, another sheet or a half sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. So I have a little bit more plywood. This is the last one I made, the one that's been on my desk for a while now. And I should have been thinking and made both of these 3-inch squares so that you had an option to use 2 distress pads or a distress pad in whatever odd shaped items you want. But I didn't think that way, but now I do. So my question is this. And the last ones I sold, I painted black, because you can see here this plywood. See how the plywood itself, even though it was a spendier plywood, it absorbed the stain differently. And I didn't really love that. For my own, I didn't care so much. But over here, you can see it too. But for the ones I'm making and sending to people, I wanted it to look a little bit nicer. So I painted them black. I've recently been reaching for all the time my archival ink and the walnut stain that I always use. So I thought, well, you know what? Why not just make an ink box that does that? And also, because I've been sending some Etsy orders, I use these 2 stamps a lot, and so I was having to dig them out of the drawer every time. So I thought, well, okay, the things that I'm using a lot recently, just put them in here. So you can see this new ink box has 6 spots, right? A standard dauber, and I could put this Rambling Crafter dauber on this side too if I wanted it for this, but I use, just the regular old Tim Holtz dauber for this one. Variety of options. It has one larger hole for Fabri-Tac or the Sugar Bell bottle, and this is a 1 3/4 inch, 1 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 inch. So different size holes basically. But then if you're not a person who uses, this kind of ink, maybe you want a cube ink, right? Maybe you just want a couple cube inks over there. Well, some people, I don't, because I don't want to stick my hands in it. I deliberately keep this separate, but maybe you want to keep this here, or a notepad or some paper clips or some of those other items. You have the option of having a space to do that. So I guess my question is, I've got some time this week. I'm still doing training on our new learning management system, Schoology, but I've got some time in the afternoons because my cave gets too hot to make some more of these boxes. So I guess my question would be, if you're interested in a box, I'm not going to reserve or take pre-orders. I'll just load them, and then if you want one, you can purchase one. Do you think you would prefer 2 3-inch squares or a 4-inch and a 3-inch? Now what I did here on this one, because I knew I had some little things that I wanted, when I added this second square, or rectangle I should say, for the larger Rambling Crafter, the 1 1/2 inch dauber, I kept, rather than, one, it's easy to get my ink pad out, right? Because I have like a little finger space, but it still holds it tight. It's not going anywhere. But it also gives me a little holding spot for that little stamp and ink cube. So I guess my questions are, should I keep 2 3-inch squares Should I do a 3 and a 4 inch with a little, you know, with a little extra spot? What do you think? Now, this is too big for some people's desk. I totally get that. If it's not for you, that's not for you. But this one, you can see it's about an inch longer, right? It's the same width. They're both 5 inches wide, but this one's about an inch longer. And I needed that extra inch to fit these sizes in and to get that extra inch for the 4-inch ink box. So tell me what you think. Should I make the 3x3, the 3x4, or should I make a variety of the two? What I'll probably do is clean this one up and paint it and then put this one in the shop. But this one is not a 3-inch square. You can see it's not. So this is what I used for paper clips and notepad and sticky notepad and that kind of a thing. So I'll probably clean this up and paint it because, again, of this, and sell it. So I would love to hear what you think. All right, that's my version of a craft or create with me, at least for today. Hopefully within the next week or so, I will be able to list some of those art paper journals. And they won't be super spendy because I'm not decorating them. I might put a little thing or two in them because that's what I do. But it's focusing on trying different papers. And I made these little inclusions, whatever word I'm looking for the first signature, the second signature, third signature. So they'll be, you know, folded up and put in there so you know exactly what type of paper it is. Oh, the first kind of paper is sketch paper and lined and blah, blah, blah. So those will go in there also. And I also did something that I think is fun. So for the back page of it, I made these little clusters. And again, it's just a process, a stamp it. And then I put it on top of cross stitch paper and then pattern paper, and then I sew down a little bit of scrap lace, and then I'll emboss it with the Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax embossing powder, and then I'll stamp a date on it, and I'll put a little itty bitty bit of washi tape on there. And so these will go in the back either as a tuck or a pocket or something, but I made those to include in the back of the journals. But the focus of the journals will be on trying the different art papers and seeing what the texture is and making it work for you. All right, I think that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, for all of your kind comments and your support. And, you know, I love this hobby because we don't always have to agree. We can have different styles and different preferences and different looks, but then we can be unified in our common love of the hobby and using things like this fill-in label kit that just make all our lives easier. All right, take care, everyone, and happy creating.